My name is Mia. I'm here on behalf of Nikkei Resistors and Nikkei for Palestine. Woo-woo! We heard from several incredible speakers making the connection to the inherent danger that is embedded in the Trilateral Summit, what it means, how it will increase militarization, dispossession, and violence towards all people that reside in Asia Pacific. So now we are here in front of the arm of Japanese Empire, the Japanese Consulate in San Francisco, and we are here because we refuse to accept US and Japanese propaganda and call for the immediate demilitarization and decolonization of the Asia-Pacific region. Yesterday, Biden welcomed Kishida and praised his bold leadership and Japan's increasing international clout as they released a joint statement calling for strengthening of defense and security cooperation. So what does bold leadership and clout mean? This means that Japan and the United States will continue indigenous dispossession and devastation of the occupied Ryukyu Islands, so-called Okinawa. Okinawa bears over 70% of the total US military bases in the land that is referred to Japan. The current base in Henoko is being built literally with the soil of bones of indigenous Uchina people who were killed indiscriminately during the US-Japan Battle of Okinawa. This is a stark reminder, there's a stark reminder of what Japan thinks of the people of the Asia Pacific, that the Ryukyu people are fodder for their wars. This also means that the Amis, Kawayan, Puyama, indigenous people of Taiwan, as they continually every day see fighter jets flying above their heads in the settler colonial nation that is Taiwan, and that they too are reminded that they are considered fodder, cannon fodder, that their lives are meaningless in the eyes of Japanese empire. We also connect to the people of Korea, whose lives again continue to be seen as meaningless and worthless as the United States continues cooperation that put their lives at risk and prevents true sovereignty and self-determination of the Korean people. So I'm so honored that you all are here today, because too often Japanese complicity, Japanese active participation is not seen and is not understood and is invisibilized. But the power of us joining here today is we're saying F that. The voices of the people will be heard, and we will not let Japan go unpunished and unaccountable for the violence that is reaping in Asia-Pacific region and all people who love freedom and liberation.
Again, my name is Kirsten. Welcome to the second part of our program. Thank you all again for joining us. Biden NorCal, Malaya Movement San Francisco, Nikkei Resistors, San Francisco Committee for Human Rights in the Philippines, and many other community organizations, members, and allies this evening. Again, we'll be hearing from several community members speaking out against the Marcos Biden-Kishida Trilateral Summit, which will only further U.S. militarization in the Asia-Pacific. And as Mia mentioned, in the joint statement made by U.S. and Japan, the Biden administration and Kishida claim that at the core of our cooperation is a shared commitment to work with like-minded partners and multilateral institutions to address common challenges and to ensure a world that is free, open, connected, resilient, and secure. But tell me, who are the ones that are truly free, open, and secure in a world in which these leaders use our labor and our bodies to benefit them and their imperialist and neo-colonial empires and the corporate elites? Do we want to live in this kind of world? No! No! And so we must continue to speak the truth and expose their lies, because we can't let them determine what our freedom looks like when our communities and our homelands are still being used through violent and gritty means to prop up the U.S. regime.
And I would first like to invite up Rithik from International League of People's Struggle to open up our program today. Give it up, give it up. Thank you.
Hello everyone. How's everyone doing today? I'm Rithik. I'm representing ILPS NorCal. Thank you. Soon, SF State will be launching Resist US-Led War. And with that, there's a lot of things to resist, right? Especially with Biden, with Kishida, and Marcos all meeting for this trilateral meeting. When we were there at the Philippine consulate earlier, I don't know if folks saw this, but the White House released a statement just on the meeting between Marcos and Biden. So I want to highlight some few points on that before going into my speech fully. But in that statement, right, guess what they referred to the Philippines environment as? They referred to it as a semiconductor ecosystem. They said that they're going to have more partnerships with Meta now to install fiber optic cables. What does that mean? That means more AI sweatshops, right? That are running this country in the first place. They say they're going to have civil nuclear partnerships. What is that really but a cover under the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Act to store nukes and develop nukes in the Philippines? On top of that, right, we've heard that there's 5 new military bases that are going to be in the Philippines this year. That was confirmed last May. Just today, there's an additional $125 million going towards those bases that are being built in the Philippines right now. And lastly, to close off their discussion, they decided to talk about human rights. Human rights in the Philippines. What do we say to that? Shame! Talking human rights when his father was the one that installed martial law in the Philippines? Shame! When hundreds of thousands were executed, were imprisoned, were tortured for the sake of profits in America. What do we have to say to that? Shame! So when they talk about human rights, let's point it out. At the end of the day, they just want to extract more and more from the Philippines, more and more from the colonies and the semi-colonies of the world, and we are going to stop that. Now, this trilateral meeting is here because the United States is pivoting to Asia, in their own words. They're pivoting to Asia because the United States is no longer the only superpower in the world. Now it's being threatened by China as well too, in all the super profits it makes in Asia, in Africa, and Latin America. Moreover, we see that Japan, which used to be an inter-imperialist rival, right? Inter-imperialist rival to America during World War II, now it's a junior partner in its imperialist endeavors. They're going to just be collaborating to extract as much resources as they can from the Philippines, as much as they can from other colonies and semi-colonies of the world too. We see that as these trilateral meetings are enacted, they're trying to enact the different agreements that they were passing earlier this year, right? IPEF, right, during APEC. They're going to try increasing what they call global value chains. In other words, how do we exploit every single person on the face of this earth till we have nothing but this planet to be destroyed? Shame! They're trying to further global value chains where there's resources that are extracted from countries like the Congo and Ecuador, where there's millions, if not billions of people who have to face day to day the riches of the earth being stolen by America. They have to face the coltan, the cobalt, the copper, the bauxite, all the rare earth minerals of the earth being stolen by the imperialists. They have to face agricultural goods being flooded into their markets, so the livelihood of the peasantry is displaced once and for all to just be there to develop semiconductors and whatever pivot to Asia that they're trying to do right now too. And of course, with that, with the increasing inter-imperialist conflict between China and America, which America is aggressing more and more every single day, and all fronts being, I don't know what to call it, but acting like it's not under complete threat of collapsing at the end of the day. It's overextending itself in 3 different fronts. It's overextending itself in Europe, right, with the war in Ukraine. It's overextending itself over in Asia with this pivot to Asia, and right now also in the Middle East with the genocide happening in Palestine. And with that, we see this summer there's going to be the largest joint military exercises in the world, known as the Rim of the Pacific exercises, RIMPAC. Now, of course, you know, in the Rim of the Pacific, of course, Japan and the Philippines are going to be a part of that. They're going to be collaborating with the United States in ensuring that the United States has complete dominance over all the island chains as they try to oppose China at the moment. There's also going to be Israel that's participating over in RIMPAC as well, too. And we see with that all of our people's struggles are interconnected at the end of the day to end American imperialism. With that, we see that people across the world are rising up. People are resisting on a day-to-day basis. People are taking up the highest form of struggle to fight for their basic rights. And we have to do the same thing here and fight for our basic rights and show out into the streets every single day. We have to defend the people's struggles that are happening in the third world. We have to further our own struggle against the corporations that are right in our backyards as well too.
That's right!
We have Meta, we have Twitter, we have YouTube, we have Google. We have to stop them here in the belly of the beast. So, thank you everyone for coming out today. Thank you for showing your resistance against this trilateral meeting, and let's continue to have this every single day.
Thank you so much, Rithik from IOPS, for making the incredible connections to global proletarian third world struggles and reminding us of the urgency and our power to shut it down right here in the belly of the beast, but also right here in the Bay Area. We have possibility, we have power, and we're going to shut shit down. All right, it is my pleasure to be inviting Kimiko from SF Church, who will be reading a statement from Veterans for Peace. Thank you, Kimiko.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm reading a statement from Mike Wong. Mike Wong is the Vice President of Veterans for Peace, Chapter 69, San Francisco, serves on the National Board of Veterans for Peace, is a co-chair of the Veterans for Peace China Working Group, and a retired social worker with a Master of Social Work degree. Mike says, the meeting in Washington between Presidents Biden, Kishida, and Marcos is a meeting between an overlord and his proxies. The United States wants a war to undermine and break China, whom it sees as an independent country with a major economy and the ability to work economically and politically with other global South nations to create an independent bloc of nations not under the exploitative thumb of the United States. Such independence is unacceptable to the U.S. elite, who continue the Western world's domination of the earth and non-white nations, a continuing colonial period under other names such as democracy or freedom. The U.S. is assembling a bloc of nations, Japan, the Philippines, Australia, the province of Taiwan, India, NATO, South Korea, and others, to attack China and break the Ukraines of Asia.
I would now like to invite Abby from Bayan to also share a few words. Abby, oh yes! Let's go, Abby! Let's go, let's go! I'm ready for this one! I'm Bayan! If you didn't see me at the Philippine Consulate, here I am again at the Japanese Consulate! My name is Abby, I'm also the Bayan NorCal Regional Coordinator. And Bayan NorCal is so honored to be standing here alongside our allies with Nikkei Resistors, SF Church, Malaya Movement SF, and all peace-loving, anti-war, anti-imperialists. We are here to oppose the trilateral summit between Biden, Marcos, and Kishida and expose the true intent behind this meeting: to strengthen U.S. hegemony over the Asia-Pacific and defend its imperialist interests, while the masses of Japanese and Filipino people are used as collateral damage. While the U.S. and China quarrel it out amongst each other, their theaters for war will not be on their own soil, but on the islands of our countries, our land, our seas. This trilateral summit is claiming to deepen the quote-unquote friendship between the three, but the only thing it's deepening is Marcos's pockets, the semi-colonial relationship between the Philippines and the U.S., and preparing the Asia-Pacific region for war. We are here to say, U.S. out! China out! Philippines for the Filipino people and not for the imperialists! Both the Philippines and Japan are key players in the U.S. island chain strategy meant to surround and contain China. This is part of the U.S.'s pivot to Asia that is continuing to lay claim and stake over all of the world. Agreements made at this trilateral summit is not for the benefit of our people or even for the safety of the Indo-Pacific region, but really to use the Philippines and Japan as chess pieces in this game of war. The U.S. and its puppets are greenlighting the building of more military bases, stationing of more warships, and staging more military exercises, claiming that
China into a war. When you look around the world, wherever there is devastation, who is there?
US.
The U.S. The U.S. is there at every turn. The U.S. needs to wage war to maintain its economic domination in the Asia-Pacific in the same way that it needs Israel to maintain economic domination over the Middle East and Ukraine to maintain economic domination over Russia. And it will do anything to maintain its power, including funding and arming a genocidal regime in Palestine, to sending billions of U.S. tax dollars for an endless proxy war in Ukraine, to also drawing the masses of the Asia-Pacific into war. So while Biden claims to be quote-unquote shoulder to shoulder with Marcos and Kishida, which by the way, they're going to be launching the Balikatan military exercises on April 22nd, we are here on the streets to say we are standing shoulder to shoulder with the masses of the world resisting against imperialist domination in their countries by any means necessary.
Long live